said it last year, I'm going to say it again. The only damn thing good that you brought to Denver was Sierra. That was it.
Did y'all just hear that?
Because the reason being, as I told you guys, is because the level of practices we've had against one of the best defenses every day, and how we've shown up there. So I think the best thing that we can do is, just slow our minds down, play really clean football, and also to, enjoy the process, man.
All right. He certainly seems calm, cool, and steady right there. Damien, do you think...
Y'all see Stephen A getting ready to start ranting here, but before he gets started, just remember, Russell Wilson is a future Hall of Famer and a guy who's been to 2 Super Bowls and has won 1. Keep that in mind.
What's up, Stephen A?
Molly, I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
know
okay.
we got a question to ask.
Go ahead.
I have to jump in. Because
Okay.
I'm going to say it on national television. Russell Wilson, you're beginning to piss me off. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it.
As if Russell Wilson plays football to appease Stephen A. Smith.
Look, before we even get into the question, Molly,
Okay.
you stunk last year.
Russell Wilson posted 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions last season while being the most underprotected QB in the league. That's the guy he's saying stunk last season. Most quarterbacks in the league would dream of having those type of numbers. Now, it's not Russell Wilson of the past, but he's still better than a majority of quarterbacks in the league.
You were paid $37.8 million to go away. The Denver Broncos is willing to eat nearly $38 million to get rid of you.
Once again, talking about a man's pockets. That's not surprising with Stephen A. Smith. But again, he's wrong. Denver Broncos wanted to restructure his contract and basically pay him less. And Russell Wilson said, run me my money. Simple as that. If he wanted to restructure his contract, he would still be a Denver Bronco and they would have been happy to move along with him.
And you sitting there fighting for a starting job with Justin Fields.
Someone name me any other quarterback in the league that is fighting for a starting job with another starting QB.
You ain't fighting for no starting job with Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or somebody. It's Justin Fields you're starting for a job with.
And you know what? I'm glad he mentioned Josh Allen. Josh Allen posted 29 touchdowns to 18 interceptions. 18 interceptions last season. You don't see Stephen A. Smith breaking a set talking about Josh Allen and his downfalls every season. A guy who has yet to go to a Super Bowl. A guy who has yet to basically take the next step, even though he's a star QB. But he's breaking the set on a Hall of Fame quarterback and a guy who's proven himself and has already won. Let's continue.
And he's sitting there with some smile on his face, talking about, everybody just need to relax. You ain't Aaron Rodgers. You don't get to say that. You better show up.
Again, he has shown up before. And yeah, he's not Aaron Rodgers, but when Aaron Rodgers posted numbers worse than Russell Wilson a few seasons ago, and when Aaron Rodgers is all over the news talking about conspiracy theories and all these kinds of things, you do not see Stephen A. Smith breaking a set. But here he is with Russell Wilson, who's working hard, showing up every day, not talking about conspiracy theories, but showing up to play football and be a model citizen. He's breaking the set.
I said it last year, I'm going to say it again. The only damn thing good that you brought to Denver was Sierra. That was it.
Did y'all just hear that? Unbelievable. Bringing someone's wife into a sports debate. When people start coming for him, he's going to try to make it seem as though he didn't say anything bad about Russell Wilson, even though he just brought his wife into a sports debate. When do y'all ever see anything like this other than Stephen A. Smith?
Hey, just stop it. All of this smiling and going over and getting along and all of this other stuff. I don't want to hear that stuff from him. Too cool for school. You fight for your career. Act like it, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Who wants to see a guy who's happy and getting along with his teammates? And y'all need to understand this, all right? Russell Wilson has been this type of guy his entire career. They've called him a robot before. This is his personality. He's a quiet guy. And right now, when he was asked that question, he's being himself. If he was to put out a statement when they asked him that question and become a rah-rah type of guy, that would have meant that Russell Wilson is not being himself. And you would think that Stephen A. Smith is trying to say, Russell Wilson is, giving out this generic answer and, he wants him to be this rah-rah guy and, say something that's motivating or whatever. And it's like, he's never been that guy. This is who he is. He's being true to himself. How is he going to be someone else? He answered the question just like he would have any other time we've ever seen Russell Wilson get asked a question. That was pretty much it. Dan Orlovsky and Damian Woody basically backed up Stephen A. Smith. Oh, what a surprise. Much like a lot of guests do. Because if you go against Stephen A. Smith, chances are you're not going to come back to debate him on this show. So, of course, they were over here glazing and talking about, oh, yeah, Stephen A., you're right. Even though they both know as former NFL players that everything Stephen A. Smith is saying, and especially the way he's saying it, is completely wrong. But let's go ahead and get to, when Mad Dog returns basically earlier today. There's some pushback for Stephen A. Smith.
Hawk, thanks so much for being with us. You're up first, my man. Essay's criticism of Russell Wilson. Is it fair?
Y'all see Andrew Hawkins, right? His reaction is like, whoa, Stephen A. said all of that?
It's not fair. And I hope as I come on here, I can lower the collective blood pressure on this show, because we can't get mad at someone being who they are and who they've been from the very beginning. Now, if he was a guy that we questioned his work ethic, I would be all on board. But Justin Simmons, Bradley Beal said he's the hardest worker he's ever seen. Kabali from The Athletic said that he reminds people in the Steelers building of the work ethic of Antonio Brown, who we all know was a maniac.
There it goes. Exactly. And of course, you need to lower your blood pressure, Stephen A.
He knows he has to play well, but when have we judged someone who's been to the Pro Bowl 9 times, been an All-Pro, been to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them, off of what we see in the preseason? He's getting acclimated, and again, I applaud him for taking the stance that he's taking, Stephen A.
Y'all hear that? All those numbers, all the Pro Bowls, a Hall of Fame quarterback being judged off the preseason. Andrew Hawkins is the type of person that should be debating Stephen A. Smith on a daily basis, not Damian Woody or Dan Orlovsky. Simple as that.
Yeah, this is a ridiculous premise.
Go ahead, Doggy.
That's a ridiculous premise. A ridiculous premise, Steve. I mean, come on. Give the guy a break. The Peyton didn't like him, so he shipped him out. He didn't want to play him because, and obviously, Wilson may not run as well as he used to. Give the guy a chance. I mean, my goodness gracious. I can't get a read on preseason football. You don't want to play Rodgers, so now all of a sudden preseason's that big a deal. I still think he'll start week 1. Let's give him a clean slate. He's probably a Hall of Famer down the road. He's been in 2 Super Bowls. He's won a title. He's stayed out of trouble for the most part. He's not a guy that's always in the news. He was good for the Seahawks. He had that terrible year at Denver, better last year, and now you're all over him. Can you give him a little break, Steve? Can you give him a little break? I mean, I didn't hear you kill Rodgers, who 2 years ago stunk.
Right.
Give the guy a break. And he also mentions how Peyton didn't like Russell Wilson from the start and then shipped him out because he wanted Russell Wilson to take a pay cut, and Russell Wilson said, nah. And he shipped him out. It had nothing to do with Stephen A. Smith talking about Russell Wilson stunk it up last season. No, he didn't.
And even you talking about him being bad a year ago. If you look at his numbers a year ago, and you look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers the last full season he played, Russell Wilson, in that terrible year you talked about, outplayed Aaron Rodgers in every statistical category.
There it goes, man. How come he's not talking about his boy Aaron Rodgers? Again, a guy who is literally certified future Hall of Famer, has, basically carved out himself as a great quarterback in this, era of football. He has to prove himself in the preseason, and he's judging him off of preseason games. Come on, man.
He had a broken thumb in his right hand. Aaron Rodgers played the last 11 games. and the players with a broken thumb in his throwing hand. Is that not factually correct?
Go compare it to the first 5 games, and you will see no statistical difference between before the injury and after the injury. The season was the season.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
I think you got to give.
okay.
I think you got to give the guy a break, Steve. Jeez, he's under a new regime, and it's not like Sean Payton distinguished himself either. To be fair,
He basically said Aaron Rodgers had, a torn thumb that he was playing with. Again, an excuse. But Andrew Hawkins did his homework here, and he says the first 5 games where he didn't have, a thumb injury, he actually played the same way that he did after the thumb injury. So that's not a valid excuse, right? And Stephen A. Smith had nothing to say. He literally actually had nothing to say. He said, "You got me there." So why wasn't he breaking the set when Aaron Rodgers, was falling apart? Why is it with Russell Wilson? Again, I think we all know why, man. It's pathetic from Stephen A. Smith, to be perfectly honest. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, subscribe, share. I appreciate it. Peace.